On a quiet residential block on Chicago's southeast side, neighbors had been smelling something foul for months. Some thought it was a dead rodent. Some blamed the sewer. One man says he'd noticed it every time he walked through the neighborhood. They had no idea the smell was coming from inside a funeral home and that dozens of bodies were decomposing behind its walls. It was just after 2 p.m. on Thursday, August 6th. Officers from the Chicago Police Department's 4th District arrived at South Chicago Chapel, a funeral home at 2939 East 95th Street in the South Deering neighborhood. They weren't there expecting to find bodies. They were there to assist state regulators from the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, who were conducting a license investigation. What they found instead was described by officials as a scene of horror. More than 50 decomposing bodies, later confirmed by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office to number around 57, were discovered improperly stored throughout the building, in closets, in the basement, and in an attached garage. The Chicago Fire Department was called in, and at one point, officers believed the scene qualified as a hazardous materials incident. That designation was later walked back, but the images that emerged were no less disturbing. Investigators in protective gear and, the following morning, unmarked vehicles quietly loading remains to be transported to the medical examiner's office. According to state regulatory records, the conditions inside were exactly what the term deplorable was meant to describe. Multiple bodies had been kept in an unrefrigerated area. There was rodent infestation. There was maggot infestation. Decomposition had been allowed to progress, in some cases for an extended period, without proper preservation or storage. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office said in a statement that its investigators and forensic pathologists were now working to assess the condition of each set of remains and to search the property for documentation, identification records, and death certificates that could help determine who these people were. Officials cautioned that the process could take several days. For the families involved, that means an agonizing wait. For the people connected to South Chicago Chapel, this week has been devastating. One woman told reporters her husband's funeral had been scheduled for that Friday. Now she doesn't know what to do or who to even call. Another woman, whose mother had been cremated there, said she'd been told she would have her mother's remains back within 2 weeks. Nearly 3 weeks had passed. She had chalked up a strange smell at the home to embalming fluid. Now she isn't sure what to believe. Neighbors described smelling something wrong for months. One recalled the odor starting as early as winter, worsening over time, and being written off again and again as something else entirely. A dead mouse, a sewer backup, anything but what it actually was. State business records identify Johanna Morgan as the funeral director who incorporated South Chicago Chapel in 2022. Her funeral director and embalmer license was suspended by Illinois regulators just 1 day before the discovery, on August 5th, after officials determined her continued practice posed what they called a danger to public safety. It wasn't her first brush with discipline. Records show a history of prior regulatory action against her. Her husband, Clark Morgan, is listed as president of the business. His own funeral director's license was revoked back in 2024, following findings that he had practiced on an expired license and engaged in what regulators termed unprofessional conduct. He was fined $10,000. Notably, Clark Morgan previously ran another facility, Heights Crematory in Chicago Heights, which was permanently shut down last year after investigators there found improperly stored bodies and hundreds of unreturned cremated remains.